Hello everyone, welcome to Glorious IAS Academy. I just thought I'll share my experience of writing essay paper. Uh, I just wanted to talk about how was my approach regarding the essay and what was the preparation I like, what are the different steps I took before the exam, and how was my like what kind of feelings I had when I entered into the exam hall, and what topics I wrote and what was the approach. Outside, when we are out of the exam hall, it's possible to give like n number of answers. It is possible to tell you how to write an essay. It is possible to give lot of examples, but when you enter into the exam hall, it's a different ball game, right? We have chances of, we don't remember the things so readily, so we always have difficulty. Uh, so when before the exam, like almost like 2 3 weeks back, when I got the leave from my office, when I decided to give this attempt, like I first thing, of course, we start our exam with essay writing, right? So this is very important. One beautiful thing about essay writing is that out of 8 questions, it's enough if you write two, and in section A you have to choose one, in section B you have to choose second essay, and you have choices here: first essay and then second essay from section A, and then the other one is from section B. When you choose, and of course when you choose an essay, you have to be little careful. But one beautiful thing about this essay writing is that you have ample time. In whenever you are writing GS, it's very hectic, it's very hard, and the speed has to be really so fast. Like you have to be in a position to attempt 20 questions, and there's a time limit for everything. In 1 hour you have to at least write 6 or 7 questions, and the next hour you have to write 7 questions, or you have to divide that. But in essay, you have 3 hours. Out of this, if you divide 1.5 hour for one essay, and then second 1.5 hour for second essay, is enough. And this 1.5 hour to write 10 or 11 sides, I think it's pretty easy. One beautiful thing about this is like, there are no restrictions, like you don't have to stick to one line and go about it. It's always important to give different views about the essay. So that's the beauty about the essay, like you can express your thoughts. So if you are someone who have like questions about what is this, a lot of philosophical essays, how will I even understand the statement? I mean, people have difficulty in understanding the statement itself. Imagine if somebody is coming from the village background, how will they understand what thinking is like a game? And it's not that easy, right? Inspiration for creativity springs from the efforts to look for the magical in the mundane. And every word, unless until you know the meaning of the word, you won't understand it. Do you really think people who are coming from different backgrounds, like Telugu medium, or it's very hard, right, for them to understand it? So first thing, we need to understand the what they're asking. That is the intention of the the topic, basically what they're actually trying to ask us. And once you understand the intention, one beauty about this is like you always have a choice to put different viewpoints over there. You can give your opinion, but when you're doing that, make sure you give that with examples. Where whenever in these 8 essays, initially I have decided to write not all who wanders are lost. Initially I thought, okay, I have enough number of points for this, because I mean, after reading UPSC syllabus and then reading non-fictional books, I thought I'm pretty good with this essay. I made points. I spent like 7 or 8 minutes on this. But then when I was about to start, I kind of started thinking about visionary decision making, because this thing is there in psychology and intuition, logic. We always deal with how decision making happens, and then what is the role of memory, and what is the role of motivation, emotion, and all that. So initially I wanted to write this, but then after making points, then I left this, and I went with visionary decision making. I wasted like 6 7 minutes on this, but that's okay because it's an essay. I had enough time, so I started writing visionary decision making. And initially, I didn't directly tell them what decision making is, but I took one example from the history, and the history, the example that I took, because it's always important to have ready-made points. Like it's always important to have few stories. Whenever you talk about the war, you can always talk about Kalinga or World War One, World War Two. Similarly, decision making is there everywhere. Like wherever you make judgment, you're basically choosing choices from a number of choices, picking up one thing only, decision making, right? So this is there everywhere. This is there at individual level, this is there at national level, societal level, organizational level. Everywhere, decision making, visionary decision making is important, right? For the development or for the growth, for coming out of the conflict. Everywhere, this is what matters. And how do we make decisions? Like initially, when I was about to start this essay, what I did in the exam hall is like basically uh, I took the example from the history, like Homi J. Baba, right? Initially, India was after India got the freedom from British. We were in the famines. We did not have enough resources to take care of people, and then in 1952, when India conducted like elections, we did not have enough resources even that time. Still, we were able to come out of that. So India's situation at in 1950s was not so great, but still that is the time where Homi J. Baba decided to go with the nuclear technology, like development related to nuclear bomb. He is the person, right? In 1950s, in the mid 1950s, he decided to start the research related to nuclear energy, and that is basically for peaceful purpose. With time, he realized that India need to have one nuclear bomb to protect itself. Then he is the person behind the nuclear bomb. So that's why he is considered to be the father of a nuclear energy, nuclear program in India. So I took that example and I started it with like intuition is basically it's an inner voice, right? It's something that guides an individual. It comes from within. Some people even call it as a gut feeling. So what made him uh, come up with that idea of India having a nuclear bomb? So it's something, some intuition, something, right, related to inner voice or something. So then I introduced what guided him, and initially in throughout India, like throughout the world, India had an image like a peaceful country. That's how it was. India was part of NAM, non-alignment movement, and then in Korean War, India played a role. So India was never interested in developing nuclear weapons. Even that time, Homi J. Baba, he decided to, he made a decision that India should have it, even though India was against it. He convinced Nehru. Initially, Nehru was also against that, but he convinced Nehru in later on. In 1962, when there was a war with China, India clearly understood that India should have a nuclear bomb, and since then, India started developing it, and then we had an operation called Smiling Buddha, where so everything here, this is a logically they have to after 1962 war, it was logically correct. Whatever Homi J. Baba said, logically it was important for India to protect itself. So I used this example and I started off. And after starting, I introduced what intuition is, what logic, what is the role of intuition and logic. And then other than that, when you make decisions based on intuition only, and what mistakes you can make, there can be various type of biases. A person who is grown up in a western country, they give importance to independence and then consumerism. People who are grown up in Asian countries or in the eastern side of the world, they give importance to collective society. Like India, take the case of India, we give importance to the joint family system. So and there are various socializing agents like school, college, family, everything plays a role, right? That shapes the individual. Culture shapes the individual. That person's intellectual ability shapes him. Other than that, emotional state, I introduce them, like what intuition is all about, and if we make decisions only based on intuition, what mistakes we can make because of the biases, like cognitive biases we have. Like there's something called functional fixedness in psychology, and then self-fulfilling prophecy. Other than that, there are lot of cognitive biases where individual can have. So when we talk about intuition, I mentioned that making only decision based on intuition can go wrong because of the biases that individual have. And then I also talked about logic, because individual also is a emotional being. And so I tried to take the different levels, like individual level, national level, societal level, all these levels, and how the biases influence the decision making if they follow only intuition. So I tried to link up everything, so I was able to attempt this essay. And before writing the essay, I was not clear, like, because philosophical essays were they're vague, right? You don't know how to approach. So before the exam, I think 2 3 weeks back, when I got time, after I got leave from my office, uh, I took the printout for almost 45 50 previous years, not previous years, it's toppers copies from Vision website. I went and I got the printout. It was like this much. The bundle was huge, and I one fine day I took the printout, and then I sat and I observed like what how they are approaching the essay. For example, take the case of not all who wander or lost. When you see this, what you can do is, like, you don't have to directly support this. Sometimes you can, the best way to go ahead with the essay is always argument. If you if you see the statement, you can take that essay. What you can do is, like, you can support it, you can give one argument, you can oppose it, you can give one argument, and that's how you maintain the flow. In this case, what you can do, not all who wander or lost, those who, the counter statement can be those who wander or lost. For this, you can take an example and give. For example, there are people who get lost, they don't find themselves. For example, I don't want to mention the names, but there are people, they do not have clear purposes, they do not know where the journey, they don't know the where they're heading, they even commit suicides. I mean, the main reason being they're lost. This can happen at individual level, this can happen at societal level. If it happens at individual level, they can go mad and they can go, mentally they can suffer. At individual, at societal levels, what can happen? There can be corruption, there can be a lot of mob lynching, and a lot of things can happen, right? At national level also it can happen. So you can take the counter argument, you can support it, you can oppose it, and you can give arguments. Initially I wanted to write this, but then I went ahead with this because I'm being psychology optional, the decision making something we read. So I went ahead and I finished this essay. And like I told you, to understand how to write an essay, initially I took the printout of the toppers copy. I saw how they are writing, and the moment I saw, I understood the flow, how to approach it, and that's the best way I feel. And other than this, in the next one, I went and I wrote about education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in the school. So initially, understanding the statement itself is little confusing and a little hard. So what we can do is, like, because we have options, uh, out of 8, only you need to write 2, right? So when you see this, girls are weighed down by restriction, boys with demands, two equally harmful disciplines. So when you see that essay, what you can infer from that, this is something related to, how girls and boys are facing difficulties in life. And again, this is also a philosophical essay. So this is one essay. My friends, they choose this 7th essay, and I wrote 8th essay. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So he's just trying to tell us that whatever we learn in school, there's much more than what we learn in school. I mean, of course, in school there are a lot of things that we are not learning. For example, we don't learn what financial education. I mean, financial literacy is not there. Majority of don't, like, when we go to banks, we don't even understand how to fill the DD. I mean, I did face that difficulty. I'm sure most of the people, they don't know what to fill there. So financial literacy is not there. And then practically, there are certain things like it's called practical intelligence in psychology, where uh, uh, adaptability is what intelligence is all about. During COVID-19, people were stuck at homes. It was very difficult for everyone, and people lost their jobs. So COVID-19 is one of the best example about how intelligence helps people. So this essay says that it's not just what we learn in school, it's about how we live our life. So it's a broader picture. So I try to explain the importance of school learning. Also, I did explain what are the problems in school learning, and then I explained what learning is actually means, and then how individuals adapt to the environment that they're going. I think I even gave COVID-19. I don't remember what I exactly wrote in the exam, because of course that time we just go with the flow. But then after coming out, I actually forgot a lot of things. But I think I did pretty decent job. So that's how, like, whenever you are given with essay paper, first thing you can do is like choosing the essay, which is really important. If you're good with certain topic, just go ahead and choose that. And before you get into the exam hall, make sure you get the printout of the toppers copies and see how they're writing philosophical essays. Philosophical essays, when you read, make sure you read. First thing, go check previous year, toppers copies. This is the first key takeaway from this session. So first thing, take a printout. Second thing, after taking printout, just go through those toppers copies and then read non-fictional books. Those things will help you like anything. Non-fictional books. It's more like for motivation purpose. It will help. It will also help you to give the example. For example, take a book. There's a book called Autobiography of Yogi. Where Paramahamsa Yogananda, he's a yogi. And before he was a yogi, he was a West Bengali person, I think. He leaves his place and he'll go to Himalayas. He'll try to search some guru, and there he'll experience some spiritual awakening. So he'll meet his guru in Himalayas. So there are a lot of examples in this book. So you can pick up certain books, and those books will help you to give the examples. So this is one thing, this is the other thing. And then when you are in the exam hall, of course you'll have little bit of anxiety, you'll have confusion on which topic to choose, but make sure you're good with those. If you are able to generate certain points or arguments or counter arguments and give certain supporting points, where for example, whenever you see something related to friendship, you can use India Russia relationship. That will definitely help. And whenever you see the betrayal, something related to betrayal, you can use India China relationship, where India is one among those few countries to recognize China, but then later on China attacked India in 1960s. So those are the things you can do. And one good thing about essay is you have ample time in the exam hall, so make sure you develop the content, and that content development happens only when you read lot of books and also relate it with current affairs. Take the examples from the current affairs. Whenever you see some case study in the exam, like in the newspaper, make sure to write it down somewhere. That will help you to go ahead and write it in the exam. I think that's it. I wrote 2 essays. One is related to education and the other one is related to decision making, and I think it was pretty okay. I think that's it. I'll try to come up with a new video related to how I did my GS papers. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe to our glorious IAS Academy, and do share it with people. Thank you so much.